According to the fears of that day, the blast was to occur on seismic faults connected to Vancouver, catalyzing chain reactions that would trigger the granddaddy of all earthquakes. I remember sitting on my chair, unable to eat, gazing out the window, waiting for a flash, waiting for cars to float up into the sky, for the tile floor to break apart and expose lava. Of course, nothing happened. Life resumes. Time resumes. But some things stay with you.
Can you say your name for the tape recorder?
I'm not telling you my name. I'm dead. My name doesn't matter. How I died? Sure. I was at a house party when it happened. Pretty big house. Swanky shit, you know? Some people I'd never met, friends of friends, that sort of thing. We were on the makeshift dance floor in the living room. Some guy starts yelling by the edge of the window. He's all chalky white and panicky. Naturally, we just thought there was a fight or, at worst, cops or something. There was something in the air. Something wrong with it. Even from the inside, we could feel it. That's when we started seeing the light from the blast. Then the pulse hits and... Look, it's a weird thing being like this. Looking back on the last things we did as humans. I died listening to Katy Perry, for God's sakes.
A recurring image. We're on the field. There's a rumble and we stop and walk over the chain link fence and look south, far beyond the horizon, where we know Seattle should be. Instead of Seattle, we see a pillar of gray dust pounding on heaven. The Earth launched up into the universe, so far it will never return. The Earth has become the sky.
I was in the office and it was near the end of the day and people were getting ready to go home when it happened. Ellen groaned that the computers had just crashed again, and I looked at mine and it had blanked too. I was walking over to her when the power failed and we were looking all around in the first confusing moments when the lights went out, when the flash occurred. Titanium white light, like a Xerox copying with a raised lid. Then the blast hit, like a bursting dam. And I remember seeing a computer wobbling on the edge of the window as though trying to decide whether to jump out or not. I remember Ellen grabbing for me as she was being sucked out of the building, blood leaking from her ears, her hair pulled back, a bottle of liquid paper exploding against her skull. And I remember reaching for her hand and holding onto it as if we were sucked out of the building and then dying together somewhere up in the sky.
I was by the fridge when it happened. The phone rang, so I went to pick it up, and then the power in the overhead lights surged. I said hello into the phone, but it went silent. And then the flash hit. The kitchen window blew inwards, all bright and sparkling like tinsel on a Christmas tree, and the blender crashed into the wall, and the post-it notes on the fridge ignited. And then I was dead.
I remember being relieved that we were too deep inside the house to feel the direct heat blast effects. Bodies are flying everywhere, and a mesh of flesh and blood and glass and broken things in the air. There was so little light, and the sky was thick with dust and clothing and chocolate chip cookies and broken glass and blood. It was hard to do anything. And it was then that the oxygen began to be sucked out of the air, and it became impossible to breathe. Then I'm dead. And now I'm here.
When you're young, you always expect your world's gonna end. Then life chugs along, and you realize that the world will indeed continue, with or without you, and the pictures you see in your head. So you try to understand the pictures instead. I learned in art school that the easiest way to memorize a landscape is to close your eyes for several seconds, and then blink in reverse. That is, open your eyes briefly, allowing the images before you to burn themselves onto your retina in an instant, like a nuclear flash. Another recurring image, very simple, in my parents' house in their living room looking out of the swing set in the backyard. The flash flashes. I'm awake.